Imagine waking up to find your WordPress site completely compromised, your data stolen, and your reputation at risk. In this video, I'm revealing the hidden tactics hackers use to infiltrate your site and, more importantly, how you can outsmart them. Stay tuned to protect your digital presence before it's too late. First off, let's talk about why WordPress is such a popular target for hackers. With over 40% of all websites running on WordPress, it's a goldmine for cybercriminals. The more popular a platform, the more attractive it is for hackers. They know that if they can exploit vulnerabilities, they can potentially breach thousands of sites at once. Also, it means that there are more tools out there to hack a WordPress website. Let's put on our hacker hat on and let me show you how easy it is to hack a WordPress website. I'm just gonna stop the video for a moment. This video is not monetized, it's not sponsored. So what I noticed is that many viewers are not subscribing to the channel. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and like my videos and also comment down below. Now back to the video. Here is a WordPress running in a Docker container. I will link my Docker Compose repository in the description below so you can easily replicate what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and run the Docker container that will contain WordPress. So if I run Docker Compose up and I will run it in the background, it will start pulling up the WordPress files. And once it's built, we can then set up WordPress as a test site. We can put some content and then we can start doing the hacking. Remember kids, hacking is illegal. If you're doing penetration testing on a website, make sure you have permission from the website owner. Same for hacking. If you're doing hacking on a website, you need permission from the website owner. Hacking is illegal and you can get into serious trouble if you do this illegally. Now that WordPress is done, I'm gonna go ahead and load the WordPress website. So if I go to the URL, which is the IP colon 8080, I can now see the setup screen for WordPress. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue here. As title, I'm gonna put Antonio test website. Username, I'm gonna use Antonio, my name, and as a password, I'm gonna use a particular password, and I'm gonna put my email address and click install WordPress, and it's gonna go ahead and install WordPress. So it looks like it's quick, very quick. I go to login and I go to login with my credentials that I've just set up, and voila, I can see now the WordPress website. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to put a post as a test. So let's go ahead and write a post. Hello, this is my post. Apologies for the all caps log. I guess check out Antonio Persiano. Check if I know how to spell YouTube. Okay, so let's publish it. I can do a view post, and there you go. I have a new post here. Technically speaking, now we are ready to do the brute force attack on our website. I'll explain in a diagram how we're gonna do this. So we're gonna have what we call a WordPress website running. So that's our WordPress running website, and we will be running it on a Docker container. Now, this WordPress website can be running locally or can be running on the internet. In our case, it's internal. So any vulnerability testing that you might be doing can be done both internal or external. Now, to demonstrate, this is me. And what I will be doing is I will start doing some pen testing to the WordPress website. Now, you can call it a hack or you can call it as a pen test. As I said in the beginning, the end result is to prevent bad guys to hack my website or hack a website. Because in many cases, we just put a website out there and we just forget all about it. And then one day we notice either because someone has told us or because we realize that the content that we put there has now changed because we've been hacked. So what I will be sharing today are tools that will help us prevent exactly this. I would like to announce that I have a few slots available for IT consultation for network and security. And if you are interested, I will put the contact details in the description below. Please get in touch because there are only few slots available. Now back to the video. Know your opponent. what do I mean by this exactly? When you're doing this kind of work, you need to take or treat this as a game. So you know who you're playing against. And I can illustrate this by comparing what we're doing to a football team or a soccer team that is playing against another team. The manager, the coach, the staff will do the research against the other team before they're going to play the other team. And from the research, what comes out, they will then tell it to their team so they can benefit from those weaknesses to win the game against their opponent. And it's the same thing we're doing here. Now, let me demonstrate this on the website we're hacking. So let's jump back to the screen. And here we have the website. And if I right click here, I want to do a view page source. And ignore all this and don't get scared. Basically, what we're looking for is the WordPress version. And I'll tell you why. So if I do a find or a search here and I look for WordPress, it's going to give me WordPress 6.7 because this is what I have installed. And there is a tool that we could use, which is called Searchsploit. It's basically a website that can give us what weaknesses or what vulnerabilities by default on this version. So if I run that command, it automatically gives us a few exploits. So the number one would be Next Forms. Another one is Video Gallery, iTeam Security, and interestingly, Google Maps. This particular version has also a vulnerability of SQL injection. So you see, we are looking for vulnerabilities, weaknesses in our opponent. And then, when we are ready and we are comfortable, we can attack those vulnerabilities. This is how it works in the real world. The bad guys find vulnerabilities, and when they are ready and comfortable, after a lot of testing, most likely, they will attack. We want to know now what plugins are installed on the website. This is very useful because we want to see if there are any exploits available for the plugins installed on this particular website. Okay, now to attack the website, we need to know what plugins there are installed. And in order to do this, WordPress uses a structure, a page structure. And in the page structure, usually all the plugins are actually stored in w-content/plugins and then the name of the plugin. So if I put the next-form express WP form builder, I hit enter and I don't see any text here, which means that the folder exists. And I also know this, and I can confirm this, if I put a number here and I hit enter, it tells me page not found, which means that that plugin is not there, which obviously it does not exist because it has a number. In hacking or in pen testing, we want to make this process fast-paced. So what we do is we use tools, and in this case, I want to use a tool which is called WP Scan, and WP Scan will do this for us. So let's go ahead and run the scan on the website. And as you can see, it's already finding a lot of vulnerabilities. And if I go through it, it can tell me that the header, so the Apache server is running on 2.4.62 on a Debian based. It's powered by PHP 8.2.25. Its confidence is 100%, which actually means that it's quite sure that that's what it's running. Now, there's also some good information here, which also we can exploit, which is the robots.txt. Also, this is really, really dangerous, which is the XML-RPC, which is also enabled on this website, and so on and so forth. And there's a README here, WP cron, which is also very dangerous. Lots of good information here. Now let's rerun the command, but this time I'm going to use the WScan API, which means that it gives me more information and more accurate information about the plugins and vulnerabilities. So let's go ahead and do this. So it's running the scan again. And as you can see here, it's going to give me more information. Example, WP cron seems to be enabled. Direct access. And it also gives me the reference of what attacks I can do on this particular vulnerability, and so on and so forth. So like this, I know now what vulnerabilities this website have, and I now can start the attacks on the website. Now, before we start the brute force attack, we need the username. There are a few ways how to get the username, but I'm going to show you a couple of them. So let's go to the website, and the first and easy one is to look for posts. So usually administrators have posts, and here is one of them. This is the one I tested, and it says here Antonio. And if I go to the admin part of it, now if I put Antonio and I put a wrong password, it's gonna say that the password you entered for the username Antonio is incorrect. Now, if I put a username that does not exist, then it will give me a different error. And as you can see here, it says the username Antonio1 is not registered. I don't know why WordPress have never fixed this, because this is a really bad design and it gives away the hacker the username. The first method is very easy, but sometimes WordPress sites do not always have post, or sometimes author is disabled. So I'm going to show you a different method. This time we're going to the API section of WordPress. So if we go to this URL, it sends us, or it shows us the API, and this API shows us very important information, and one of the information that we're looking for is our username. So the username here is Antonio. So I'm going to try a brute force attack using this username. So let's go ahead back on Kali Linux, and I'm going to run the following command. And again, I'm going to run the application WP scan, and I will also put the URL here, which is the 192.168.100.21:8080. The username I'm going to try to brute force attack with, and the database I'm going to use is rocku.txt, which is basically in Kali Linux by default. Now, you can download different databases, you can have a look around and to see what's available, but this is a demonstration how to use the default tools on Kali Linux. So also at the end, I'm going to use XML RPC, specifying it. It actually does it by default, but I'm actually specifying it just for this demo purpose. So if I hit enter, WP scan starts scanning. In a moment, it's going to start trying the different passwords, different combination of passwords. Once it finds it, there you go. So it looks like it's already found it. So the username is Antonio and the password is 0,12951 and so on. If I go to copy this password and then I go to the WP admin. So I'm going to put Antonio and I'm going to paste the password there. So just to demonstrate, the password is the one that it found. Click login and there you go. We have found the password using a brute force attack. Now, as you can see, WordPress is very vulnerable to attacks. So the first thing I would like to recommend is to have or make a daily backup of your website. Now you can automate this. You can also use off-the-shelf software or a service. And some of these services also offer malware scan, which basically scans your files of your website and checks if there are any malware. This is done to protect maybe your customers if you have an e-commerce website, or also to make sure that your website does not have malware, because if Google detects that you have malware on your website, it will also affect your SEO. And I know that organic traffic is always welcome. Let's talk about protecting your website using a WAF. So WAF, when I say WAF, it's Web Application Firewall. This firewall, what it does is protects your site from hackers. Example, if I'm using a tool WP scan, it can detect these scans and blocks them. Or if someone is doing a brute force attack from a particular IP address, once it detects certain amount of login failure, it will block that IP. Now, when it comes to WAF, you can have various types of WAF, and even the rules that you apply for WAF, you can have very basic rules and goes to much more advanced. And obviously, it depends what you're protecting and how much money you're willing to throw at the website or at the problem. Now, when it comes to WAF, There are also CDN like Cloudflare, which actually you can configure certain rules, which I recommend as well. There's a free version of Cloudflare, but you have to mingle with some DNS configuration, which for some users can be a little bit more advanced. Now, for this video, I want to demonstrate a plugin or introduce a plugin. Probably you know about it already, but if you don't, I want to talk about WordFence. There is a free version of WordFence where basically it's a WAF and you can install this as a plugin on your website and it can detect certain attacks. Example, one of the attacks that it can detect is a brute force attack. So in an instance, when you have an attack, a brute force, someone trying to guess a password from a particular IP address, that can be actually blocked. Let's go ahead and install WordFence. Okay, so back to the website, and if we log in to the admin portal, we can go to plugins, add new plugin. And if we look for WordFence, this is the actual plugin that we want. So we're going to install it. Now there is a paid version as well. If you would like the paid version, go for it. But for the purpose of this video, the free version is actually okay. Now this video is not sponsored by WordFence. It's just something that I've discovered and I would like to share for users there that I don't know about WAF. Now we have the WordFence installed and now we need the license. So let's grab a free license. Now there is the WordFence free license, which I would like to get. And it gives us a notification that we wouldn't be getting the latest threads. That's okay. I'm happy to wait 30 days. I'm going to put my email address here. And you can click yes or no. In this case, I don't want to be spammed, so I click no. Hit enter, processing, and once it's done, you're going to receive an email. Right, so I've received the email and you get this code here, and what we want to do is we want to copy, install an existing license, so we can install license. It does its checks, and once it's installed, then we can have options. And now we have the license installed, and we can now start using WordFence. When you install WordFence, it comes into learning mode automatically, and basically what we want to do is we want to get it to enable and protecting. Now, there is a reason why it goes to learning mode, is because it wants to learn the patterns, the attacks, etc., and then it kind of optimizes your firewall within, and it kind of automatically calibrates your firewall. Now you can do this, you can leave it running for a few days, and then there's an option here where it says that you can automatically enable after a few days, or you can go ahead and enable it. Now, a few things that we've talked about, example is the brute force attack. So if we go to the brute force attack section here, we can manage the login failure. So if we want to lock out a user because we think that it's a brute force attack, we can actually lower this down from 20 to something smaller. Now, you have to find a balance also, because some users can get annoyed and you can also lose sales if you have an e-commerce website. So you have to find a balance. What kind of lockout do you want, or how many failures do you want? Other thing that you can also configure is how many forget passwords. So if someone discovered a username or an email and wants to do a forget password and is trying to do some kind of brute force attack, you can also decrease the amount of login attempts or forgot password attempts. One interesting feature that WordPress can do is also can throttle applications like crawlers. Something like some of the tools that we were using is to configure WordFence. If it detects a huge amount of crawling, it can actually block it, or you can also throttle it. So this feature is actually quite good. Let me show you how to fix the username problem, where basically WordPress reveals that the username does not exist, which is actually a vulnerability for us. So if you go to WordFence firewall, you can scroll down and there is an option here. Here it goes. So additional options. Don't let WordPress reveal valid users in login errors. So if I put Antonio1 like I did before, it does not give me the same error that it does not exist. With great power comes great responsibility. In this video, we've talked about hacking a website, how to find vulnerabilities, and also I've shown you how to protect your website from the same vulnerabilities. This subject is very broad, and I have many more videos in the pipeline that I'm working on that I will be releasing very soon. So if you like my video, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the notification button, so when I put my next hacking video, you'll be the first one to be notified. Until next time, take care.